Today, Sayadaw talk about the benefits of the Vipassana Satipatthana meditation. As usual, Sayadaw express the honoring the Triple Gems and offer to the Triple Gem with our practice the best honor. Then Sayadaw wish on the yogis good health and practice well in order to gain the freedom from suffering. So the Buddha taught the law of karma means the cause and effect, and also the method to practice Vipassana meditation, so that we can do the good cause by the practice, and the result is we gain the understanding or the realization of the Four Noble Truths, meaning we gain the enlightenment. So there are many good results from the wholesome deeds, and in the practice we try to cultivate the mindfulness. So we create the good cause, then from the mindfulness and from our effort we reap on the results. And the qualities of the Dharma is there are 6 qualities of the Dharma, and Sayadaw mentioned 2. So the first one is one of them is sanditiko, meaning that this practice or whatever the Buddha taught, we can experience ourselves throughout the practice. So that is a quality of the Dharma. So if we practice the Dharma, then we will know by our experience. The other qualities Sayadaw mentioned is akaliko. That means the immediate benefit. So if you practice, you will know the benefit right away. For example, if we have a mental state, sorrow or lamentation, if we remember and mindfully watch that mental state, then it disappears and you regain the peacefulness. Then the benefit is immediate. That is akaliko. So the benefit of the practice Vipassana meditation to cultivate the mindfulness by observing the objects every moment, every minute, every hours, and days after days, with the patience, then we will gain the steady mindfulness and develop strong concentration. And we can benefit from the good cause. And the first benefit Sayadaw mentioned is we see our mind clearly. So that is the first benefit. So we call mind, or another is nama, mean mental phenomena. And the mind has 2 parts. The first one is consciousness, and the definition of consciousness is the ability to recognize the presence of an object. So that is the consciousness. And the mental states or mental factors is modify that consciousness. So knowing what kind of object is that, or etc. So that is, and 2 combined called the mind. And when we practice Vipassana meditation, we will know our mind, mean the consciousness and the mental state clearly. Worldly people do not practice Vipassana meditation, so they don't know their mind. So whenever they feel sorrow, they say, I am sorrowful. Whenever they are worrying, they say, I am worrying. Or whenever they feel happy, they say, I am happy. There are always the I, the illusion. They always had the illusion about that I. So because of that illusion, they suffer a lot in life. So in other words, they don't know their mind. They don't see their mind. So they don't get the benefit because they don't practice Vipassana meditation. So for the yogis who practice Vipassana meditation, so see the mind and so see the consciousness and the mental states. And consciousness and mental state are the two out of the four ultimate truth or ultimate reality, called Paramatha. So the other two is the rupa, mean the material or the body, and the last one is nibbana. So that is for Paramatha or for ultimate realities. So when we practice Vipassana meditation, we see the mind clearly. So we start with the seated meditation, for example, and the instruction is we sit straight and aim at the abdomen, follow the rising and the falling of the abdomen. Then the requirement is we have to pay attention. So we focus on the abdomen, put the effort in aiming correctly, and follow the object continuously, precisely, and simultaneously. Then when we do that, then all of a sudden the mind is distracted, like a thinking. So if we have mindfulness, even we cannot control the mind, so the mind goes out. But we know right away that our mind is distracted. We are thinking. So all we do is noting, if we remember, we have good mindfulness, then we remember to note the thinking. We can label that way. Then the thinking disappears. That is immediate benefit, the quality of the Dhamma. So we practice meditation. That means we aim our mind at the phenomenon which is most prominent, or we focus on the object. And the object can be the visible object, the sound, the smell, the taste, the touching, or the mental object or mental object of the mind. So in order for us to see our mind clearly, we have to practice seriously. And the first requirement is effort. We have to put the effort in our practice. So we have to put the effort to push our mind to the object, and the effort to aim at the object, and the effort to follow the object. So that's the effort. So we do have the effort from beginning of the hour until the end of the hours. Then if we practice well, we can see the rupa or the body or nama like the mind. They are not the one single solid mind or body like that, but they are the whole process. So many small particles of the rupa, mean the body, and many small mind one after another along with the mental states. So we can see the whole process, the body and the mind. So we see our mind that way. And when we follow the rising or the falling movement, so we experience the individual characteristics like attention and vibration, moving. So that is the characteristic of the air element. So we see that the characteristic of the object, which is the air element here. But usually after we're sitting down, we follow the rising and falling for a few times, then our mind goes away. But we practice, we have mindfulness, so we catch right away and noting or labeling, thinking. What does that mean? That means we see our mind. So it's not that bad that we had distraction. If we had distraction, we cannot control it, but we know our mind is distracted. That is the benefit of the practice. And worldly people don't know that. And if the yogi practice and had distraction and know they had distraction, that is a make progress. So don't be mistaken that they don't make progress. And Sayadaw mentioned 16 kinds of minds. And Sayadaw say several out of the 16, like when we have a greedy mind, that is one, then we know we have greedy mind if we practice seriously. And the other kind, when we have a non-greedy mind, then we know we don't have a greedy mind, meaning we have non-greedy mind. And another one is when we have an angry mind, then we know we have angry mind. When we have a non-angry mind, we know we have non-angry mind. When we have delusion mind, then we know we have delusion mind or ignorant mind. And when we don't have a delusion mind, when we know. When our mind is distracted, we know our mind is distracted. When our mind is lazy, we know our mind is lazy. When our mind is concentrated, we know our mind is concentrated. When our mind is not concentrated, we know our mind is not concentrated. So, whatever the mental state comes up and become prominent, we have the duty to watch them, to note them, and we can label them if needed. So that is we understand the mind. Even we don't watch the mind, we watch the body, like a rising and the falling. But if the mind is distracted, we automatically know it is distracted. That is another way of knowing the mind. So, what makes us see the rising and the falling? That's the mind. Without the mind, we don't know the abdomen rises or falls. And the mindfulness has a function to remember to note. So when we remember to note when the rising happens or the falling happens, that means we have mindfulness. So how do we know we have mindfulness? If we remember to note and we note along with it, then we know we have mindfulness. And mindfulness is one of the 52 mental states and appear with the consciousness and disappear at the same time with that consciousness. And another mental state is a clear comprehension. And another mental state is effort. So these three mental states is very crucial in our practice. So in the Sutta, Buddha taught ardent, that means effort. Clear comprehending, that means clear comprehension mental state. And mindful, that means mindfulness. So if every time we note the object and we have the mindfulness, we have the effort, and we understand clearly the object, that means we satisfy these three factors, then our practice will be good. So Sayadaw say we should remember that. And when we note the objects, just noting whatever the object is, we know as it is. Don't judge at all. So that is the way we should practice. And another kind of mind out of the 16 is when we have enlightened mind or a free the enlightened mind or the mind without suffering, then we know that mind. And when our mind is not free but defied, then we know our mind that way as it is. So the practitioner follow the risings and they see the rising clearly. So just see the rising clearly. And if they make good progress, they just observe it without emotionally happy. And when so the benefit of the practice is we see our body, our mind very clearly, and we see it as a process, impersonal process, mean the absence of the illusion of the I. So when we practice and we see that there is an object, there is intention to note, and there is noting. These are the mental states. There is no such a thing as an I in there. So we get out of the illusion of an I. So that is the progress of the practice. And when we reach the 11th Vipassana insight, so then our mind is in equilibrium, very balanced. Then at that time, the process of thinking is absent for a long, long time, and we feel very, very balanced, and that is very good. And this insight is the highest Vipassana insight. And if the practitioner from there continue the effort, and they can reach the enlightenment anytime, depending on their parami, mean merits. So that is the first benefit, is we understand our mind clearly. And the second benefit is some of the some of the disease, not chronic or not critical, we can overcome that kind of disease. And even the chronic disease, we can reduce the severity of it, or sometimes we can overcome it. So that is the third benefit. And Sayadaw explain the reason why. So according to the Buddha's teachings, there are 4 causes for the creation or modifying or changing of the material properties. First is the karma. So when we have a good karma, then we have good material properties. When we have the bad karma, when we have bad material properties, this is easy to see, because somebody born with the good health and somebody born with bad health, somebody born beautiful, somebody born not that beautiful. These are from their karmas. And the second cause is food. Food here including the like a medicine, the drink. So basically belong to this group. Then if we eat the good food, then our body is healthy. And because our body produces the good material properties. And if we eat the bad food, then we get disease. So food is the second cause of material properties. And the third one is weather. So the weather can change the condition of our bodies. And the fourth one is the mind. So if we have a good mind and we have good face, material property, you can see right away. Or if we have the bad mind, like an angry mind, or then our face look ugly. So the mind can change the body or change the material properties of the bodies. So that is the 4 causes of the material properties. And so when we practice Vipassana meditation, we make the mind purified. So when the mind purified, mean pure mind, clean mind, it produces good material properties. And because of produce a good material property, it replaces, supersedes all the bad material properties in the bodies. So it overcomes the disease. So that's why the practice Vipassana meditation can help to us to improve our health. And when we practice, and here is the fourth foundation of mindfulness or Vipassana meditation, then we contemplate on the body, contemplate on the feelings, contemplate on the mind, contemplate on the mental objects of the mind. So we need the effort, the foremost important factor in our practice. So, and the Sayadaw explained about 4 kinds of the right effort. First is the right effort to put an end to unwholesome phenomena or the unwholesome mental states. And the second is the right effort to prevent the unwholesome mental state to happen. And the third right effort is the right effort to make the wholesome mental state or mental dharma happens. And the fourth one is when the wholesome things happen, we try to maintain and develop it. So that's the 4 kinds. So Sayadaw say the meditation center or the like this is like the hospital to treat the mental disease. And when we are sick, we have sickness, worrying, feel sad, we want to see the doctors, medical doctors. And after the talking, the doctor say, please don't think too much, because thinking will make you feel worry, feel sorrow, etc. Because the science discovered that when our mind in the state of grief, worrying, sorrow, lamentation, etc., then our body produces some chemical in the stomach, and that causes us ache in the heartache and headache, etc. And so the mind creates the bad material property causing the disease. And if we know how to practice, so when these happen, when we when we are sorrowful, we should remember to note that mental state as quick as we can. And when we note, it will disappear, and our mind return to normal state. So that is the benefit of the practice. The reason is, at that time, our mind is no longer in the thinking mode, just the watching what's happening. So we live in the present moment. We not live with the thinking of the past about the future. Then nothing can be compared with the Vipassana meditation in the function to prevent the mental disease. For eating, Sayadaw also mentioned that Buddha taught us how to eat. So don't eat too much. So don't be too full. So before we feel that we are full, we should stop right before that. And if we can do that, then our health can be good. So, and when we continue to practice Vipassana meditation up to a point, we can see the arising and disappearance of the object, which is impermanence. So we can experience one of the 3 common characteristics of the phenomena, that is impermanence. And if we continue the practice, we develop Vipassana insight one after another. And like I said, I mentioned earlier, when we reach the 11th insight, that means we have a balanced mind, equilibrium mind. Then we feel the really happiness. And this is the highest Vipassana insight. And after that, we can get enlightened any moment, depending on the parami and our paramis. So when the yogis first start the sitting meditation, they change the positions, the body position quite frequently. However, they continue to practice, then the changing of the position of the body reduce. And up to some time, then they can sit the whole hour of the practice. And when we practice meditation, we experience pain. Pain is like the suffering feelings. And Sayadaw also mentioned that the Buddha, after his enlightenment, he stayed at the Bodhi tree area in the Bodhi Gaya in India for 7 weeks. And 1 week means 7 days and 7 nights. The Buddha opened the eyes to look at the Bodhi tree, to show his appreciation without blinking. So Sayadaw say, you believe it or not? But that's how it happened. So, and also he spent another 7 days or seven days to do walking meditation back and forth near the Bodhi trees. And you can think that how could he do that 7 days without tiredness? Buddha walking without tiredness. The reason is he has 7 factors of enlightenment. He reflect on that, so give him stamina to walk back and forth for that long time. So Sayadaw mentioned the story of the king, the emperor Bimbisara, and he had a son whose name is Ashatavatu. And his son put him in jail and to become king, then forbid the soldier bring food to his father. So the king doesn't have anything to eat at all, but he's still alive and alive well. So then the king, his son, the son, curious and tried to see why, and he just saw his father walking back and forth in the jail. So the old king, the father king, just do Vipassana walking meditation. And he saw the Buddha from afar through the window, and he feels so joyful. So with this mental state, and with the mindfulness, with the piti, the joyful, he's fine, even without food. So if the yogi practice and they get the piti, the raptures and mindfulness, concentration, they will be very, very happy with the practice, and they can sit for a long time without changing the postures. So that is another benefit is we understand the teaching very well through the practice. So the Buddha taught us for 45 years. Nothing is beyond the Four Noble Truths and the dependent originations. Then the Four Noble Truths is a noble truth of the suffering, noble truth of the cause of the suffering, noble truth of the cessation of the suffering, and noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of the suffering. The suffering, the reason we have suffering because the changing nature of the phenomena. And when we practice, we understand the cause and effect very clearly, or we understand the law of karma. So there is a monk from Thailand, and one time he stopped at the temple of Sayadaw in Washington, D.C. And he mentioned that if you practice Vipassana meditation, you will understand the teaching of the Buddha very clearly. And Otherwise, you may remember by heart all the Buddha teachings, but you may not understand well or really understand what the Buddha taught. So, the path the Buddha laid out for us is the middle path, which is the Noble Eightfold Path, or in short is Sila, mean the morality, Samadhi, concentration, and Panya, mean the wisdom. And in order to, when we keep the precepts, or another way to say about the Buddha teaching is don't do evil action and do the wholesome deeds and purify the mind. So when we don't do evil action, when we keep the precepts. When we do the good deed, that means we practice meditation to develop the concentration group. And when we purify our mind, that means we develop insight, vipassana insight, leading to the enlightenment. So there are different ways to look at the Buddha teaching, but they have the same essence. And the fifth and the sixth benefit Sayadaw mentioned is we reach the Nibbana or realize Nibbanas. Because when we practice Vipassana meditation, we purify our mind. We stop the thinking process associated with greed, anger, and delusion. Then our mind becomes pure and pure. And when it's pure enough, then we get enlightenment by taking the Nibbana as the object. And Sayadaw mentioned that whether or not we get the enlightenment soon or late, depending the paramis, mean the merits we perform in the past. And there are 10 paramis. The first one is dana, mean generosity. The second one is precepts, whether or not we keep precept well. The third one is effort, whether or not we put the effort, good effort, in our practice. The fourth one is seclusion. Here means you live a worldly life to live in seclusion of the body, seclusion of the mind, and seclusion from the suffering, which is the Nibbana. Then the fourth one is the patience, and the fifth one is the patience. The sixth is honesty. Honesty here, Sayadaw say, mean we don't lie to ourselves. We don't talk lies. We don't talk the nonsense, and we don't talk the stepping on the back or talking about dividing people. And we have pledge or determinations. So we pledge or we make a resolution or determination that once we sit down for this hour of practice, we will not change the posture. So that is belong to determination or resolution paramis. And the next one is metta parami, mean loving kindness. And the next one is balance parami, mean the balanced mental state. And the last one is the wisdom. So with these 10 paramis, and depending how we practice in the past or current, then we can get enlightenment sooner or later. And the practice, of course, we will make the progress, then we will reach the destination. Like we go to school, Sayadaw say, we in the elementary school, each year we make progress, we go to the next class. After the elementary, we go to high school. Each year, one after another. Then we'll finish high school and go to college. Then we finish our education, the same as practice. Sayadaw say, if we put effort in, and practice regularly, steadily, and correctly, then we will reach enlightenment. So Sayadaw talk about the story. He took a student to Mahasi Center in Yangon, and after a while, the yogi, his student did not make any progress and want to go home. So asked him to take him home, but people there don't let Sayadaw take his student home, out of the center. The reason is they say that he should make progress before he can leave the center. Otherwise, he will ruin the reputation of this center. So they don't allow that happen. So that understandable. This is something insightful for this center too. And so that is one story. So Sayadaw say they are not difficult. They do it right for our benefit, for the yogi's benefit. Another story is when Sayadaw studied in India, and he have a teacher. And one day the teacher told Sayadaw, come and have a meal with him, along with another student. So when Sayadaw eat, and the other student also eat with the teacher, and the teacher point to Sayadaw and say, you are not mindful at all. The other one student is mindful when you eat. So Sayadaw feel shameful about this because the teacher say like that. So Sayadaw, next day Sayadaw did not eat, but watch his teacher eat, see eating with mindfulness. How does that look? How does that happen? So the Sayadaw watch his teacher and see every time he do only one thing at a time, not two things. And Sayadaw say when we eat, before we finish the mouth for food, we already take another one. So we do two things at one time. But the mindful person finish one, then take the next one with full mindfulness. So Sayadaw watch and learn that from the teachers. And Sayadaw also mentioned that we had a habit. Everyone has a habit except the Buddha. So the Buddha is clean not only on the bad mental state, but he also clean on the bad habit in the past. Even the Venerable Sariputta, mean the chief disciple of the Buddha. So, who is someone considered as the most wise disciple of the Buddha? Mean he only second to the Buddha. But he also had the habit. So one day he walked, and when he see the water in the field, he jumped over. Then the other bhikkhus go along with him. Did not feel happy about that, and they reported to the Buddha and say, how come an Arahant and second wise to the Buddha only and jump like that? He should walk slowly. Then the Buddha explained that that due to the habit, because Venerable Sariputta in the past was born as a monkey. And the monkey can jump here and there. And that habit is carried in his karma with him. So he cannot, even he's an enlightened person, but he cannot have clean of the habit like a Buddha. So that's why sometimes it happens that way. So we all have the bad habits. And even we don't do any evil thing, don't think any evil, but sometimes the bad habits still there. So Sayadaw mentioned that all the yogis should have a patience, should have the effort, and don't be discouraged if they feel they don't make progress. Just do as instructed and do wholeheartedly, seriously, keep the mindfulness intact, continuous, then the progress will come. No doubt about that. Sayadaw say that. So Sayadaw mentioned that last year he was here during this retreat here, and he got a disease, and we took him to one hospital. Then they could not cure his disease, and then after that we took him to Stanford Hospital. This is a very good hospital, and he had a disease very painful, and he thought that he was going to die. And so when he got the pain, it's unbearable pain. First he could not manage, then because too painful, and because of that pain he thought he going to die. So he noted the pain, he remembered, and he put the practice, the meditation in practice right away. So he knows the pain. He keep the mind, know the pain patiently, and after that the pain disappear, and he feel more comfortable. But just before that he thought he going to die. So then when he see the nurse try to put something on his body. So he say, what are you going to do? And the nurse say, I'm going to do this and that. So he say, that means I'm still alive. So he thought he going to die. So when he can talk back and forth to the nurse, then he realized, oh, he's still alive. And on this, because he remember how to know, so keeping he can bear the situation. He can manage the situations. So in short, in summary, Sayadaw that people here had the parami to come here and attend, participate in the retreat. And so don't forget to note. Don't lose the mindfulness. So don't try to keep the practice continuous. So before you go to bed, try to follow on these small activities. Then when you lie down mindfully, then follow the rising and the falling again. And if you can do that, then you can sleep soundly and very good sleep, because you sleep with mindfulness. Then when you you wake up, you wake up with mindfulness. So let the mindfulness work for you even during the sleep, your sleep. That's what Sayadaw say. So Sayadaw wish on the yogis progress in the practice, encourage the yogi to put more effort so that can gain the peacefulness and finally gain the enlightenment soon.